Beautiful. Great.
Wow, that is beautiful. Okay, so Dave Dirge said that is this the Barry Coates trio?
Yes, Barry Coates. Barry Coates, the composer.
Oh, wow.
He is he's a little gem in LA for a long time. So many of us in LA that played with him, and whether you're busy doing gigs and sessions and trying to get on with your life, if we find a moment to hook up with Barry and start going through his book, it's an amazing thing. And everybody's so interconnected too. This all happened a lot in the 80s when I met Barry.
Yeah.
So this is one of those projects that came out and gave it the title Riding Nomad. It's had a few different, or I guess another rhythm section with Dave Dirge later on. But we did these recordings just after spending a few months together, getting a chemistry going and going through the book and finding our own way. It's very expansive, as far as form, extended forms, and a lot of liberties in improvising. And so then we jumped into a studio.
Heard Barry Coates for so long that it kind of blows my mind. I don't know if I knew that or remembered, or because years and years and years ago we would hang out and stuff and play, but I don't know if I really heard this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, he's a gem, kind of like a hidden jewel, in LA. So a lot of us have benefited playing with him and playing his tunes. And that tune is called Lace. And that is something he wrote for the bassist, Jim Lacefield, who I didn't know, but within the time that, he passed away, right? So this was a dedication to him. And again, a lot of people who had played with Lacefield, so kind of comes into all the years of being in LA and working here and getting to know the community of players and the different, interconnectedness of everybody. You play with one person, you realize if you open up their book, you go, wow, look at all the people that have, about the pen, the marks, and who was on this gig last. It's a great thing years later because it's I don't know, it's just the fabric of who we are here in LA.
It is really nice.
Yeah.
I always say we're extremely rich in that, the community and the players and the level of playing. Actually, Jim Lacefield was on my first record.
Wow.
See that?
So there you go. I just picked that tune for the first one. I thought that was, wow. Here we go, Cathy. Let's take a ride.
So before I get too far, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Barsimanto, who it's just, if you know Michael Barsimanto, which you will by the end of the 2 hours today, you'll know that he is a beautiful, beautiful soul and a great drummer.
Oh, thank you.
And, although we haven't played together in so long, but I remember we really enjoyed it. But
I can tell you when we did.
You can?
Well, I can't date and time. I just know the last time that we did play together was at the Sportsman's Lounge.
For the
subbed for Jack.
Oh my God.
That's actually that's the last time we might have played together, but that's not the last time we saw each other. I think the last time we saw each other was actually at Jack's memorial.
Oh yeah. And I think, didn't we bump into each other at LA College of Music? Weren't you hanging around there too, teaching?
LACC?
Well, the CM, Pasadena, the
Well,
college.
I've done a.
It's not the college. That's
No, you're no right. Yeah, right. Forgot. I have been up there, but I haven't done much up there. No, I think it was at that. But anyway, so it was at the Sportsman's Lodge. I was subbing for Jack one night, and we played. And
that's way too far in the distance.
I know, Cathy.
That's like 20 years ago, man.
Is it really?
And that's another thing about LA. You can and maybe it's like this in the big cities, but you can really know somebody for 20 years and not play with them.
Very much so.
I mean, it's
very
crazy.
much so.
Really crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a little disconcerting, but I don't know why. The disconnect feels weird, especially when you connect with that person again. You go, oh wow, wait a minute, what are we doing? Why aren't we doing more? It's a funny town that way, Yeah. But a crazy thing was sitting in for Jack that night. There was a guitar player on that gig that afterward asked me if I wanted to record his record, be on his record. And I looked at him, I thought, this is unbelievable. This never happens, right? Or if anybody ever asked you that, you never hear from them. It just flies away. But this actually this is a result that I did 2 CDs with this guy.
Who was it?
Tom Duvon.
Oh yeah, I know him.
He was sitting in, and we put one of his charts down, and we played it. And he came up and said, "Would you play on my record?" And I said, "Sure, I will." No,
he's a nice guy and a good player, actually. He had some really good music. Yeah.
It turned out that I got all the players for the album, and a lot of them that are on some of the stuff we might play today. So it's a funny, again, this small circle of the orbits that we have, and we create.
There's some people here saying hi, like Jason Harnell.
Wow, hi Jason.
And Austin Ishak.
Oh, Austin. I got a shout out to Austin. He last night helped me download 6 of these pieces of music.
Thank you, Austin.
And also I got to give a shout out to Rich Mangiacaro, who the day before it put the page up for me. So I got some real great brothers.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I have to say that I really appreciate that as a person who, has been in positions of getting the stuff to do the PR with. I mean, when I was booking that place Bar Fedora downtown for 2 years, I would be so shocked that sometimes these successful players had no website. They didn't even have like the simplest of websites, just like somewhere where you could go and get a bio, like a bio that they liked, So
I know.
I really appreciate that. The effort that you did in the last few days. I really do.
Well, listen, they saw I've been limping wounded for so long that, I finally reached out and said, please help me out. Yeah, I'm like that too. I don't have a website. I got to get it together. You know what? Who knows what all we could pontificate on, go down a rabbit hole about all of that with technology and learning curves. And I mean, I'm in the studio every day. I have a studio that I go to, my own personal studio, but there's a complex within that complex is something that I also manage and run the recording rehearsal aspect of the studio. I'm in the studio 24/7 for 3 years straight. And whether I am recording or I'm doing another thing, I'm around computers and hearing stuff all the time. And, I can sit in front of a Pro Tools session and understand what's going on. I'm not very
business.
I'm not attracted to sitting down with a mouse in my hand and pointing and clicking and doing stuff. It just, whatever, how we're wired. I'm very tactile. I mean, I was saying this to Rich Manjacaro the other day. He's so good at being at taking task.
Yeah.
Especially at the technology world right now, so well, and slash being able to be a creative percussionist being that he is. And be able to juggle those two together. But we worked together on this little thing that we did, and it can be. I was saying, it's not. It doesn't seem like it's a lot of fun figuring it out. It's just rewarding at the end, and. Yeah. When I play drums and I make music, it can be, we have our frustrations during the process, but nothing like, why is this Wi-Fi not working? And when them, like I need an MP4 instead of an MP3, and
yeah,
it's a little like, wow, and I have so many great obstacles, just so little time constraints to get this thing done. And then yesterday, Austin comes over I said, I really want these 6 tracks in here. I want Cathy to access them. And then, 5 minutes before he shows up, the Wi-Fi went down in the building. Oh, God. And I just said, thank you. Let's bring, how much is this, how much flesh do I have to, that's the whole thing. You've got to make causes. You're not going to manifest anything. So it was all part of that. So, and I try to
No, I get it. That's really funny. And okay, sorry, good. I didn't mean any offense when I said I can't believe. But really, it's
believe me, I can't believe it.
No, you know what it is? I think maybe sometimes people like yourself don't, until you need it, don't think about involving other people who love to do that and do it well. Like last year, I hired a young social media guy because even though I do put out a lot of PR, there is no way that I'm going to get on Instagram a lot. I'm not doing it. I can't. I think about it every 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
So I hired him, and I said, okay, you can work this many hours a week and then I can't pay you more than that. And he's great. So you like you did with Aston or the other person you mentioned,
Austin and Rich.
Yeah. It's like it takes a tribe, it's not just you're good at what you're good at and they are good at what they are good at. And if you can involve everybody, that's the key,
That's the key. And I think for a lot of people, the wall comes up where before the technology, if you will, in general, that kind of tribe you had to make that call. Yo, I need help on this, lay it, do this on that, whatever it was. It just the gristle to keep the blood flowing, It's a bad analogy, but nonetheless, it now when it's become, more insular, you can do this yourself. Plug in, point and click, tracks coming from, library of sounds. I mean, so, and if you don't know how to do that yourself, it's like you demoing a tune on a 4-track or an 8-track cassette or something. I mean, no problem. I got a ton. I got 3 garbage bags full of my demos, but if you didn't make that crossover, then, how do you present your stuff in files? So it's gotten very complicated. I mean, I talk to people that really know what they're doing, and they, they're pulling their hair out every day over some little, nanosecond of something that's going wrong. And
then there's also, there's also along those lines, it's very interesting because no matter how much it's really a spiritual lesson, right? Because can you do, like, here you are, do you have to do this or you're going to die, or can you let that go and do this instead?
Thank you. And then go back to the old school and delegate.
Yeah.
And that's what I really learned over the last few days. And this little lesson here is like, you're okay with whatever deficits I'm pointing myself, I feel I have. And instead of going, wow, you got to step up on this and this and have the whole, no, I mean, I'm in a studio. I can knock on any door and get anything happening if I want. So I'm very blessed that way.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, go back to asking for the help and pay for what you have to do. And there's the new way, if you will, because there's a lot of people that need, listen, I realize when you put a record up on YouTube, there's an individual that has to track by track, load it up with an image.
Yeah.
And wow, you could probably, buy a house in 5 years just doing that if you were employed to do that, because that's all it is. It's just like putting pencils from one, drawer into another. It's weird. It's weird. So, and I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. Like yourself. Okay, it's fine. I think I got permission, is what it was. Anyway, no.
That's okay. Yeah. Personally, I do a little of everything, maybe my Gemini nature, but I find that I like different things, but if I do too much of one thing, I get burnt out. So I can turn my attention. Like lately, I've been creating singles since the summer. I created 3 singles, but iMovies too. And I've really enjoyed that process a lot. It's almost like being in the studio producing. There's real creative, you have control, you're following your instincts. And so I'm working on my next one, releasing my next one. I think I've finished everything. But like last night, I spent a good amount of time listing the photographers that I use on the YouTube thing. It was a good amount of time that I did that. I had to find where it was and then find the pictures that I used and, so that's organization.
That's good to have that. How you're wired and how, what works for you. And that's great. And all of it really is when you bring the spiritual aspect, it really is, where's my voice in this? It becomes the creative tool. And if you really, I don't think you can help but marry those things together. So now you're editing something and it's the phrasing, it's the pitch, it's the tension, it's the release, it's all the principles, all the factors that we do and use in music. It's your voice. So that's great. That's something Rich Manjikar was showing me. Like, you can put this together and get over the hurdles of any learning curves in anything in life. Really, this is really a bigger lesson in things, and just and meld them together. You had one of your earliest shows. You had Stephen Nachmanovich on, and when you had him on, it blew my mind because I didn't know I didn't know your network, but it was like, wow, Cathy has a reach. And because I had his first book, Free Play. Yeah. It's a great book. And it started, loosening. It's great. You need something to loosen you up sometimes to realize, wow, let's play every day is an improv day, and it is. And it really is. So there you can turn that energy around and go, wow, this is playful, make it playful. Make it something that, but, there's work behind getting that, changing perspective. Is not just like, it's fine. It is like turning a ship in the ocean,
So true. Somebody had referred this book to me and they said, it changed my life. So what it was I forget what it's called exactly, but this psychiatrist or psychologist had interviewed, his specialty was between lives. And he had interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people and hypnotized them and had them talk about in between lives. And, whether one believes it or not, I do, but, whether one does or not, it's still quite a beautiful lesson. And it's, where when you go into this area after your life, how you have been as a person, and what happens in this afterlife, the fact that you're not punished, that you have to look at something with somebody like a guide and take responsibility for
Mhm.
what you did and
Mhm.
where you wanted to go and all that stuff. But it's yeah, it's very karmic. The whole thing, I mean, what we're talking about, is very
True.
karmic, and some people find it very difficult to think of improvisation in their life. Just for as an example, I mean, every day we improvise. We wake up. That's
Bingo.
an improvisation. It's like, oh,
Bingo.
yeah.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of great things. Where to start with that? I'm not kind of losing my place here. There's so many things fly so fast. I started practicing a Buddhism about it's going to be 24 years ago that really brings that to fruition. This one question is this: we ask ourselves, looking over here to a neighbor, why them and not me? Why do they have, and especially in the material with the big house and I don't? I'm just using big general thing. But there's a big question. So we start comparing ourselves to others and getting into really behavioral patterns that just really don't work. And you know what? As a creative person, if that stuff is happening too, it can influence your playing. A lot of stuff to watch out for when you're young. It's just like, you're seemingly uncluttered, but life goes on and you collect a lot of information. And so why is that person more talented than I am? And I want, well, that brings on that whole concept of afterlife, or what happens between a death and a rebirth or a birth, those questions. And you brought up karma. I think along the same line, because there's a practicality, a reasonableness to it that helps explain those questions to me. Why a prodigy? Let's use a real, why is that little girl or boy at 7 years old? Why do they know all that? How do they know all that? Well, I think that's the best explanation right there, what you just said. Speaking in those, and you can break it down more, and you can put it in a dogma, and you can do this and that to it. But I think that the gem of it, the essence of it is that. And as I've learned about myself more over the years, again, playing an instrument is a great meditation. You really get self-reflection because you're spending a lot of time alone. And, again, it's how you treat that. And later in life, how you treat that, so you don't get, crazy or whack too messed up. And that's all relative as well. But so that's helped free me up to just go, well, then, what is it that I do have? Keep in mind, what is it that I do have, instead of the negative of looking over there at another person's wealth or, and it really begins, and you start really experiencing your own story. I mean, without having to, do a therapy about it, you might start to remember things that happened, or get feelings about it, or we have an instrument to help express that, even a feeling that's not a word that comes from that place. It gets a lot of subtleties in that. It's not just all just playing tracks and, or whatever, a job and task it done, but what it all means from the very beginning. So I think that's really important. It helps take away a lot of anxiety. You know what I mean? That reasonableness to go, well, yeah, you know what? If you die and you come back and there's lessons learned and you accumulated this much, good karma in your life and that much negative karma in your lifetime, and here we go again. You come out that way and you go, yeah, I kind of get it. There's a DNA going on here that keeps getting repeated, not just the mother and the father of that specific moment of that birthing, but going on. I mean, listen, if I was to think, in my chanting every morning, there's a little moment where, you're just remembering those that have passed away, just a little moment, ringing the bell. And I start to think, wow, how many people came before me before I was birthed? I mean, if you think of it in terms like that, not, in a and a time frame where it stops somewhere.
Yeah.
But eternally, that's a hell of a lot of people that got you in that seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think just that kind of understanding, you know, you have to, you know, you don't walk around any different than anybody else having those kind of ideas. But then, you know, I think that when you start to play, the intention of your notes start to mean more.
Yeah.
You start to come from a different place of,
yeah.
You know, even if you're doing the job at hand, it's like, you know, what are my intentions? Yeah, I don't know. It's all.
Yeah,
So,
I hear you, man. And, you know, right now is, you know, a time that a lot of people are thinking about stuff like that and talking about it in different ways.
Nice.
And, yeah, it's, also with a lot of people passing on, you know, so many people in our community passed on this year, you know, Barry Zweig, Putter's wife, VR, Chris Connor, you know, on and on. And then of course, Chick passing, you know, was really, I think, shook the base of the house, you know. It was like,
well, I mean,
whoa,
listen,
you
the
know?
house is, since the COVID, there has been so many artists at large, and then in our music community, East Coast, West Coast, and in America just alone, it's nuts. It's to the point where you can almost go like, oh, sure, just washing over, like, really today, you know,
Yeah,
four in a day. I heard about one and there's four behind, and
yeah,
I know, you know, and I know one of them. That's life. I think that's this. I don't know how, you know, there's the other end of what we just got done speaking about a little bit. The other end is like, what, how do you reckon with that? You know,
yeah.
I mean, I think we're left with the sadness and loss, and we kind of figure ourselves out behind it. But there is that magnificent place of like, wow, this is just the end of the tune.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah, it really is. We all know the ending's coming.
That's true. And I wish I could remember. There was Barry Zweig's daughter. She's a beautiful artist, beautiful person.
I saw some of her work. Yeah.
Oh, she's so beautiful. And yeah, she had said something a few years back, you know, because we'd been kind of watching over Barry for a long time. But the last thing he said to her was, he said, he was in bed, you know, he was like basically dying. And he said, play a D chord for me. And so
major or minor, what was it? Diminished? What was, I got a piano right here. I want to hear it already. I think I can hear it.
It was such kind of a simple statement of life, you know, go ahead, play a D chord for me. And then somebody I was speaking to actually made a really beautiful observation that the people that have come before us are not behind us; they're actually ahead of us, and they're like leading us. Which
well, you know, and they're right there. I just say there is where the phrase "no beginning, no end."
Yeah,
and absolutely. There's the continuum right there. That right there.
Yeah,
there you go. You know, there you go, right there. Let me hear a G chord. I know it's far out. It's far out stuff. You know, living this life is really far out. You know, that's all I can say. I just want to, I just want to create some value every day and try to not contribute, which I don't have to try. I mean, I think most of us, we don't contribute to the mayhem at large. Yeah. You know, but, you know, Sonny Rollins, I always like Sonny Rollins, you know, who's a, he's a practicer, you know, he was a practitioner, and until he couldn't play a horn anymore, and still it's like he would just say, I'm just trying to get right with myself. I'm just trying to get, you know, about woodshedding and what that's all about, that mentality, you know, we all, you know, that one, that kind of that mentality. I say saxophone, drums, whatever, singing. We're just trying to get right with ourselves. Something in there is so personal, you know, because we really wouldn't be the person without that gift to even, it's our center pole of whatever we're doing. Again, and I think in improv, and we're talking about the book Free Play. And then, you know, I got the book, The Art of Is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that Jason got it.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. I ordered it right when I was watching the interview with Stephen.
I think it's so interesting because I lived with free play for years.
Me
it was
too.
Like my Bible, and then at first the second book I was like, it didn't feel right, and then I realized, well, it's a growth. It's a growth after 25 years, you know. And
that's well put.
I mean, it's kind of brilliant, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I haven't actually gotten through the second book because I've had some little stumbles, and now you put it in perspective. Yeah, the first one, it just really is laid out. I mean, you can
it's so easy. Yeah.
Woof.
It's a book you can open anywhere and get like, oh, the line just jumps out at you, you know.
And it's not a self-help book. And I'm going to preface it and not to negate or not validate that, because I got a couple of them around here somewhere. But but it's just it's written from as if he's a musicologist, you know. There's one that, you know, it's from such a big place, you know, that you're never pigeonholed. And that's the thing about improv. Like you said, you wake up, and even though, you know, there might be 8 bars, and that might be, you know, waking up and coffee and a breakfast, you know, but there's a form, but still within that form, what are we doing? And it really keeps you alive. It really keeps you plastic. And not everybody's an improviser either. I've taught enough. I've taught a lot of people over the years, drummers and rhythm section stuff, and people how do you improvise? You know, and that's a tough question, you know, and you got to give it thought, because you really want to honor the person asking that question. And you have to start explaining like this, and that's why it's really difficult to do in large groups of people, right? Because you really have to get into that, you know, to go, oh, I didn't realize that even though if it says left, I could go in another direction, or I could see 4 things going on around me and realize they're all at different time signatures, and I'm the metronome, and start to look at life like that, you know.
I like that. That's cool. You know, this is a long conversation. We're going to talk more off.
I'm sorry.
No.
It's the coffee.
Oh, no. We're going to talk more offline again, you know, because it's been way too long. And, you know, we think so much alike. But actually, there's so many people making little comments that
Is it really?
Yeah, great. I wanted to involve that.
Okay.
A lot of people saying hi. Michael Higgins says hi.
Michael Higgins. I'm going to play a song of Michael Higgins. He might respond. It's called "In the Outdoors."
Oh, okay. Let's just take a few comments.
Yeah, and I'll make it up. Go on.
Talk about that, and we'll play it. Okay.
Yeah. Remember that.
And my friend Roland Askerans, who you might have seen over the years, he said he loves the plethora of genres that you've played throughout your professional career.
Hey, Roland, thank you, man. Yeah, far out observation.
He loves Zappa, so he always asks if people have played with Zappa. He said, it seems the only person you haven't played with is Zappa.
Wow, this guy's done his homework. I think by count, and I'm not going to long-wind it, I've worked extensively or substantially with at least 7 of Frank's, you know, alumni.
Yeah. See that
over the years?
Too very close.
Wow, he's great. Maybe I missed one. Maybe he knows more than I do.
And Steve Toko says hi.
Oh, Steve Toko.
Toko.
Good to see you.
Jonathan Asubel.
Yeah. Jonathan, the drums are doing well. Thank you, man.
Mark Baldrich, who comes on. Michael, what kind of drum set do you use, and what kind of sticks do you use?
I'm endorsed by DW Drums, but and I use those drums a lot. If truly use them as well as endorse. I would think I've been endorsed by them for 30 years now. But of course, I have a battery of snare drums from all over the place. Not a lot, about 20, and then a few other drum sets from other places. You know, Gretsch's. blah, blah, blah. Drum sets. I got drum sets. I got, some interesting stuff, but that's what I do. And drumsticks, I'm using Innovative Percussion. They're the company that's making my drumsticks now.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
David Hilton said you're the best drummer he's ever worked with.
I've been looking for the videos that we did with Nate to put up here, but I haven't heard from Nate yet. So when we get him up, I'll notify you.
Tim Weston, bars.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Tim. Tim is what an exceptional talent. And there's a legacy too,
Very.
Talking about DNA.
Yeah. Talking about DNA is right.
Oh, and
I did an interview with him.
Yeah?
Yeah, you could see it in my archives. That was fun. Because he's really one of my probably Desert Island Records is a project that he did with Hammerstein, and it wasn't Rogers and Hammerstein. It was sorry, Tim. Now my brain is not moving.
That's okay. Anyway, I got
gorgeous
that.
Project, orchestra, all these different arrangers and different guest artists.
Not having to do with his mom at all?
No. He did several orchestra projects. I think it might have been for Japan. And amazing. Oh God, it was such like the Metropole kind of, just Mark Murphy singing "This Nearly Was Mine."
Listen, Mark Murphy.
Arrangement.
I got stories with Mark Murphy. But I'm not going to go there. We have to hang out. But let me just say this about Tim. When I did an album with him, it was significant for me at the time that we did it, and the level. Roger Nichols was the engineer. Steely Dan's engineer, and the writing was exceptional. Mitchell Foreman was. The band was Jerry Watts, Dave Shank, and Tim Weston. So vibes, guitar, and bass. Wishful Thinking was the name of the band.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was a band that also had David Garibaldi was also part of that coalition. And then Dave left and went back up to the Bay Area, went back with Tower, and they made a record, and myself and Vinnie Colaiuta split the drum chair on that record. And it was a big seat. I don't know. It was just Jerry Watts did me the solid, brought me in because Jerry Watts and I are pretty tight for many years and done a bunch of stuff. Anyway, it was a great record, great writing, great recording. And he's gone on to just, I didn't realize then, what all the stuff he's amassed. He's just a great engineer. He's a great producer, got great, all that wonderful big band, trumpet player. It's a cat's name. Jerry Watts plays bass in that band.
Oh, you mean Diversa?
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's all his work. That's all his producing and engineering,
Tim?
As far as yes.
Oh, I don't think I actually knew that.
Yeah, unless I'm out of my mind, I believe that's Tim Weston.
Oh, yeah. Tell me that.
Right. Well, you know what I mean? The bio, the website. You know me.
How much can we remember anyway? Geez, God, there's a lot of history and a lot of life and experience. Really, it's just,
Some of it's traumatic. It re-stimulates you. No, all right. So who else says hello? We got
okay, and then we should play something.
Yeah.
Steve Taco said, I'm an almost 60-year-old weekend warrior drummer. I have a YouTube channel with 7,000 subscribers, 2.4 million views. If I can do it, you can definitely. Your talent eclipses mine. Wow.
All right. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I'm going to just not say anything right now.
Okay. And Bill Marcus says hi. Hi. And Mark Van Aken says hi.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, good cats, good people.
All right. So now let's play some music.
Okay. You want to do something? Let's throw that down. Michael Higgins came up. So we were in a band called Shapes, which was led by Roger Byrne. You know Roger Byrne.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's another crazy thing, just like the Barry thing, which is just a creative thing we were doing on the side, becomes, we documented that. Well, so Roger and I started putting, I think it was every Thursday or Monday, we would get together at his apartment and start playing, jamming. You know what I mean? Just getting together. He has a book. He's another incredible writer and voluminous, and so anyway, we started getting together, and Andy Suzuki was playing the saxophone. Michael Higgins came up on guitar. We had a couple of different bass players, Dean Taubel, Larry Steen. And we started to get together, and then Roger, being Roger, just took over, very quickly, and said, this is a band, this is this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We're playing Montreux next year. He really went for it. Yeah. And bless his heart. So we made a record, and Jimmy Haslett produced that record because we had a gig at the Baked Potato. We needed a bass player for that gig. I said, let's call Jimmy. Yeah. And he said, are you sure? I said, let's call Jimmy. I've known Jimmy for a long time. One of the first people I met when I was down here in LA. Yeah. Actually, yeah.
He's a really good producer.
Oh my God. Jimmy is another one. There's exceptional. Yeah. Exceptional. Yeah. And so Jimmy said, sure, I'll do it. And he learned the music, and he played the gig at the Baked Potato, and lo and behold, he produced the record. It just made sense. And so that's the band Shapes. Now, there's a tune that you're going to play. It's called In the Outdoors. Okay. And I think, and Michael might remember this, I don't know. I just found it the other day on a disc that said The Lost Tapes. So it's not from any album. Yeah. That's the other thing. I wanted to give music that you had access to that was like no one has access to. Right. So this is something that either was it's kind of rough, but we did it in the studio. And I think Haslett produced it. But anyway, that's what this is. A Michael Higgins tune. He's a guitar player, great guitar player. It's called In the Outdoors. And it's way different than the first thing you heard, because it's straight up, jazz, straight ahead, bebop. Go for it. So,
by the way, Michael Higgins, I think you're the guitar player who played with Karen Hammock a lot, right?
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think you're right about that.
Karen just loves Michael Higgins and played with him for years and years. Yeah.
Another.
So now that's another kind of, to me, hidden gem. Karen.
I was just going to say, yeah. And Michael Higgins too, but we all kind of, not we all, but we have our moments where we're kind of glistening, we're kind of shining. This is like the long haul of being a musician, it's like staying in the orbit. Yeah. But our orbits change with each other, it's a crazy thing to endure and to persevere. Yeah. And all of those people have, and that's another thing, your show, when I put it on and I'm doing my thing around the apartment before I leave, I go, you know what? I'm reminded, hey, we're in this struggle together.
I agree. That's what I get out of it too. Just touching a little bit on Karen Hammock. Here's a person, I met her in the early 80s, and she was really a mofo from the beginning. She did funk, rock, jazz. She just slammed ahead, independent stuff. And now she does all of those things so incredibly well. Her jazz playing is incredible. And she just came out with a new recording, actually, that
for her.
Touches on a lot of it. And she really is. I think she needs to be even more utilized, as a player,
That's so great to hear about someone, years gone and still having, that respect and the light's not out. I know the business is funny and it's this and that. You can get on, even the best of the ones that are on the A list of the ones working the most and doing this or that. It's still like, wow, what's it going to be? How is this going to look
Yeah.
Is it going to come back? Remember the days when it was full steam ahead and, 3 days in your calendar and you did like 5 gigs,
Yeah.
Like week after week after week. So it's a funny thing, but that's inspiring to me because during the pandemic, in the beginning, I started pulling out all kinds of tapes and started listening to things. And I'm in the process of organizing it so I can record it and document it and do, things I put off.
Because you were working.
I was just going to say, I was I couldn't figure out how some people could do both, but I was like, I'm working to anyway, this has given me a good time. I don't want to gloat on it either because so many people are having such a rough time. This time around, I kind of got through it a little easier than most,
Yeah.
But anyway, so go on, play some music.
Okay, so
little up-tempo tune. You'll like it.
In the outdoots, that's it, right?
In the outdoors.
Oh, it says doots.
It does?
Yeah. See?
Why does this?
In the outdoots.
No, son, I must have written it incorrectly.
Oh, it's just the T. You put a T instead of an R.
Sorry, Michael. It doesn't. The word doesn't work. In the outdoots.
Is that your cat?
Nice solo. Nice solo there. Wow. Yeah, baby. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that.
Yes. And
Yeah.
that's Mike. That's too. And Mike thinks that way. That's how Mike is. It's great. It's great.
That's great.
It's beautiful.
Steve Taco said this song should be titled "A Little Too Much Coffee."
There was always a lot of that around. Yeah.
But that was really fun. That was nice.
Yeah. Definitely. It's interesting too. If you want to get a little LA centric, for myself, I've had these periods where I've been, who knows why, but where I've been pulled in different orbits of playing music in this genre, in that genre, and this genre. So I kind of gave a wide palette within a few selections on my YouTube page. This was a time too, working with Roger Byrne. I was also had a Friday night, people don't even know. I had a Friday night for 3 years at the Money Tree.
You did?
You did, yeah. Yeah, I did.
This was a long time ago.
This is in the 90s.
Was this the newer Money Tree or the older Money Tree?
No, this is the newer Money Tree, right when it changed. So the old man, when he was obviously still alive, would always stand in the back. But I think part of the divorce was that he had to give the club to his wife. And she was really born with a black heart, or he gave her one. I don't know, but she was terrible. But in the club, it was always run, there was always like a pile of wood underneath the piano where the sustain pedals just fell apart, But I played there for 3 years every Friday, and then I would do like sometimes 3 nights a week there. And a lot of the vocalists that were at your jams, Linda Smith, but they all played there. They all sang, they all were part of the thing there. So there's this moment too where all I was doing was playing jazz gigs in LA, like so super local, just jazz gigs one after another. and I think it's, you know, how it gets documented. You know, a lot of things go by, you know, and it just, you know, it's another gig, it's another dollar, you know,
Yeah.
it's another. But that was a period working with Roger, were kind of that period for me too, you know, which is part of my beginning. I mean, my childhood is as an improviser. I loved jazz music, and I grew to be, you know, a jazz drummer because of it. So this was some, you know, rough but good documentation of that time for me as a player.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
a lot of times no one knew I was playing. No one knew I was doing whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I read in your bio that your dad worked for Decca.
Yeah, when I was born here in Hollywood, my dad was going, you know, with records under his hand. He was like a sales rep at the time,
Oh, wow.
going to different radio stations locally and up to Seattle, doing what you got to do to get a record played, you know. You know, I kind of learned that a little later, but he went on to do other things after that. But that was at the time. And my uncle is a jazz trumpet player. My uncle Joe Valenti, which he had a lot. He was like a treasurer of the union. Him and Chuck Flores. I used to take.
I thought his name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he did every Monday. He conducted the community orchestra at the union. You know, so all the players, all the classical union players came down and did that every Monday. Oh, he's a great guy. And I learned early on that I started on trumpet at 7, and I could see that, you know, music is something you could do and you make a living at it. You know, I mean, it all looked kind of normal to me on that side, you know.
Yeah.
And then I saw some, you know, with hanging out in the studio and his music studio, and found some drumsticks and a pad, and I really liked that. And it just, one thing led to the other. But those are big beginning influences. My record collection, my dad's record collection, and the openness, you know, they both had musically. Yeah. And learning that, you know, wow, you know, learning how to read and notes on a page and melody and just all, you know, the workings of music and hearing it. And then my dad got into the electronic thing, like the tape, long play tape. He worked for Roberts Electronics, which became TIAC. And so we had reel-to-reels around the house and headphones and Wallen sacks. And at the time, you know, it was pretty cool. I kind of learned how to use all that. You know, it's like, it was secondhand. It's funny I should say this, because you think, oh, well, why don't you have like a $50,000 Pro Tool rig in your house? You know, I don't know why. Maybe because it was just so easy to just, you know, do it another way. But anyway, that was my background. So it was really rich that way with me. Yeah. All my cousin, Italian family, we all got together on Sundays and sang and music, and Uncle Leo pull out the violin. So it was like that. It was really nice. Really a
That's
fun,
cool. Yeah.
Part of my childhood was that, you know. And Chuck Flores, I took lessons from Chuck Flores for a while at the Pro Drum, you know.
Yeah.
My dad would drive me in from Gardena, and I would go and try to, you know.
That's so cool. Hey, this is a little technical issue. Sometimes your headphone thing is making noise. So
the scratching?
No, it's like, it's probably the connection. You might be hitting the wire. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Oh, I see what that is. Okay, thank you, babe.
Yeah.
I'll be a little less animated.
Ray Audet said he wants to know what your favorite record growing up was, and what's your favorite record today?
Oh, that's terrible, Ray. That's terrible.
Now, you may not have had one favorite, but maybe a record that you played the crap out of, or, you know, whatever.
Well, I'll answer this way. There was one record in the record collection when I was going to grade school. So maybe 3rd or 4th grade, 5th grade, somewhere in there. Because I was in 4th grade, I was playing snare drum in the orchestra. So I was doing stuff. And I think it was a combination of a few things. There was a Dave Brubeck live at Carnegie Hall. Okay. It was a double record. The cover just looked so great. It was the wire's moving, right?
Yeah.
The cover was beautiful, and a picture of the band on the stage and the way the drums look. You know, you're impressionable. It really got me, the visual. I'm a very kind of visual. I like the interaction of visual stuff, and and sonic things that make sense to me.
Yeah.
So shapes and all that stuff. So that really attracted me. Then then listening to the record, it just sounded really beautiful. I don't know, the record, something about the drums sang, I'm a kid. I don't know anything except, wow, like unwrapping a candy bar. This is really good.
Yeah.
And so that was it. The way the drums looked, the way the drums sounded, and the recording of the thing. So that was an important record for some reason. And then shortly there, not too long after, when Jimi Hendrix came out, and I'm listening to the way Mitch Mitchell plays, it's like, wow, it almost sounded like Joe Morello, had done a line of coke or something, you know what I mean? Or dropped some acid. I mean, it was like, wow, this is similar. So I was starting to connect dots with, oh, maybe that person listened to that and the jazz influence. And, all of those bells started going off. Those dots started appearing. And then once the dots start appearing, you start to connect things and realize, oh, it's this and that. And you're on your way to trying to construct your own identity and your own way of playing your instrument.
Yeah.
But that was the first record. And the record now I like the most, I don't know, man. It's terrible. I'll tell you one thing, Ray. Here's my great answer. During the pandemic or COVID lockdown period, heavy, from March to October, I listened every day and multiple hours of Keith Jarrett. You go on Spotify and you start his first, whatever they put up there for his first record, and you listen to everything he's done, it will take you that long.
You mean months?
months.
Oh,
and it's like the output, like Chick, the output is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And is like giving you a year of oxygen. It's like gives you, it's incredible. So I would say, if you listen to Keith Jarrett, everything that he's done off of Spotify, unfortunately, that's a format that allows you. I don't want to get into that, but and he can't play anymore.
Yeah.
So Chick's gone. Keith can't play. That's a lot of piano, man.
Yeah.
Hell of a lot of information that these individuals put out and put forth and figured out. So anyway, that would be my answer. Keith Jarrett.
Cool. I kind of haphazardly watched Christian McBride doing a Chick memorial. I don't know if you saw that, but it was amazing. He had on, Jack DeJohnette. He had Steve Gadd. He had
John Patitucci, I would have think.
John
maybe
Patitucci and Dave Weckl,
Dave,
Herbie Hancock, and on and on. Bella Fleck,
Bella Fleck,
and let's see. It was a young drummer who is the grandson of
Marcus Gilmore.
Yeah,
Marcus Gilmore, Roy Haynes' nephew.
He closed it out with him. It was what a sweet and obviously talented person, and it was a really beautiful tribute, really beautiful. It was about 2.5 hours, so I kind of was, doing my taxes and listening and various things, but it was really, really good. And of course, Herbie Hancock, he's the guy kind of carrying on that time period of.
He is. Herbie has a lot on his shoulders, and he's the man for the job because he's really developed himself as such a person with broad shoulders now, in so many areas.
I know.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
He really is. He's an amazing, and that's just. Yeah, it's like walking away from the ocean after counting 1 billion waves. You got to walk away. It's like, okay, I'll come back to that. But
Rowan asked. I'm sorry to interrupt. Rowan asked a question a little while ago. It was about playing with really different genre people.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
So, but oh, here we go. He said just to pick two random people. Can you talk about the difference between playing with Keith Emerson and Gato Barbieri? But
Oh,
you've actually talked about this already in more broad terms, but still maybe, a little more specifically.
well, it's interesting that you pull out Gato Barbieri. That I can't really reference that. That was so short-lived. It was really something that I had met Lenny White in New York, in San Francisco through my dear friend. And I know you speak of mentors. He's one of my mentors, Mike Clark, who was Herbie's drummer in the Headhunters. And I talked to him yesterday. We talked, he's my dear, dear friend. And so through him at a recording studio, Different Fur, I met Lenny White, who was recording one of his records there, Astral Pirates, I think. And through there, I think he recommended me for Gato's gig.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a linchpin for me to go to New York for the first time in my life. And I'd been in San Francisco. I'd already played with Dave Liebman. It was such a great time in San Francisco. Woody Shaw. You could go to a jam session and Woody Shaw would be there, Bobby Hutchins. It was crazy, when I look back, and I got to play with them all, if not on a gig, but on a jam session. And then Dave Liebman, and that was a big thing for me. So then after working with Dave, and that he went back to New York, I thought, gosh, I'd already done some community college, and I working with Mark Isham there, and that clique of people, everybody was kind of leaving and going. And it's like, the mindset was like, I got to go. Where do I go next? San Francisco's like, it's like, this is happening. And coming out of the 70s, okay. And I'm out of high school, so now it's like a really, I'm ripe, I'm ready, and I'm unbridled. So that happens, and then I auditioned for what is it called, the Conservatory of Music in San Francisco. So there's a really great percussion teacher at the time there. I wanted to study with him and go, okay, let me see what that's about, and let me figure my life out. I go to New York for this audition with Gato. I didn't get the gig. Richie Morales got the gig, but it almost didn't matter. So much incredible shit jumped off when I was there for my first time. Needless, I won't even get into that. But if it wasn't for that moment, I wouldn't even have a son. It really goes down to that. Okay, that's crazy. But I come back here to San Francisco, where I was living at the time. Folks moved up there in my high school years, and then I came down here because Russell Ferrante called me to audition for a band that they were putting together. Guess what that band was. So, but that got me get me here in LA, and then that gig with Freddie Hubbard popped up. So I bagged on the school, and Russell left his home, and I moved into Russell's house. Now I'm in LA. And so that doesn't really count. But the diversity of working with those people is really odd. And I'll tell you why. Because Keith Emerson, is an icon. I'll just say that. He's just an icon, and he deserves it. But I didn't grow up on that. I didn't grow up. When I was in high school, that's not what and I was of the age to go, yes, and prog out.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I was doing. I was Miles, Train, whatever James Brown. It was just, that was happening for me. And Oakland and all the Oakland funk. Yeah. I could walk out my door and hear Tower of Power. I could hear them all. It was all going on in my neighborhood. And prog rock to me just wasn't my thing at all. But the progressiveness of the fusion music coming out at that time was. So here I'm in LA now, and I didn't get the gig with the Yellow Jackets, which it became the Yellow Jackets. And I realized, I got to tighten up on my groove and, whatever, just figuring stuff out. And then all these things, I did an album with Eddie Jobson. I think Steve Talker knows this. I did an album with Eddie Jobson, who worked with Frank Zappa, who was in Yes, who had a band called UK, and it was Terry Bozzio. And anyway, he was putting a solo record together, and he called me up here in LA, and would you like to be on the record and make my solo record? Terry Bozzio recommended you, and blah, blah. Yeah, that'd be great. So I show up, and there's 150 musicians. Like, what? I didn't know it was an audition, So I got the audition. And made that record, and then it kind of put me in this place of like, wow, I can play prog rock, and I could play Odd Times, and I could play that music, even though it was not something that I would really ever kind of listen to in my leisure. Move forward, that record propelled a few other records and tours, and then I got a call from the producer to do Keith Emerson's record. And that was surprising, but I got Jerry Watts on that, and we had a great time doing it. But I didn't know any. They would mention these titles of songs, famous that he did. I didn't know them at all. But we jammed on Take 5. Talk about Dave Brubeck, it's crazy. He goes, "Hey guys, you want let's have a play. You want to play Take 5?" Jerry and I looked at each other like, "Really? Okay." And, and there was like a really interesting side of him that maybe people don't know. He really loved to play Take 5, Dave Brubeck, which hence makes sense, but that music, whatever. So playing different genres is not, listen, it wasn't something that was a learned, let me see how to say it, an objective skill set that I had to learn in my generation. All these people we're talking about. It was part of like how you made a living. I was playing top 40 bands when I was, 15 to 18, playing top 40 bands. Well, that's
Michael, I have to stop you. Your mic is making so much noise.
I'm holding it because I'm hoping that it won't
I think it's your connection, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I can't. I don't. I'm just
connection into the computer.
Oh, right? Well, I got it into the iPad. It's as solid as can be.
Oh, okay.
I'm just hoping that I don't know what to say.
Sorry,
that's okay.
Like, I'm not sure how to get around it. Maybe put it behind your head instead of in front of your head. Maybe that'll stop it from like getting smacked.
I'm gonna have a really awkward answer, but it's not big enough. It's not long enough for me to do that. It is like, is it always doing it, or are we cool now?
Well, right this second you're cool, but as soon as you start talking,
I'm gonna be a mannequin.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna play with brushes, and you're not even gonna know I'm here.
Okay.
Well, wherever we are, we're making a connection about.
You were talking about, that it wasn't really a question of.
Oh, yes, of skill set. Yeah, it was just that, to make a living, you had to play different gigs that was available.
Yeah.
And because there was a lot of different gigs going on, because the radio at that time was expanding and there was all kinds of music going on the radio. So you had to know how to play this and that, it was from Steely Dan to, I don't know even what to say. It was 5 nights a week, and it was, four sets a night, and it was how many tunes? Almost 90 tunes a night. I don't know. You just did it, and if you were good at some things, it stuck. And then music started to come in. That's what fusion music started to come out of, the amalgamation of different styles. It was all kind of very organic.
Yeah.
So if you had the proclivity and the talent and the ability, which I did, I hear some things I don't hear and I don't play well, I guess, but so that was kind of a natural thing. It's not something but every time I go in to do something of a certain genre, I do go into, this has been said very many times by many players, you kind of put a different hat on, you go into a character. It's a physical thing for the drums, so the sound of the instrument and how I'm, there's a lot to take in and go, okay, I'm going to put, this jacket on, and it's going to be this, So if you hear a track that I'm playing on the Keith Emerson, compared to in and the Outdoors of Michael Higgins song, it would blow it. You go, I don't believe that's you on the drums.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Right.
You might want to play some music. I don't know. You want to reference some music, or?
Yeah, I will. And we have several suggestions that it's your mouthpiece on the cable, maybe. So I think that's right up. Yeah.
I think it's this thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just too loud. I'll put it at 50%.
I don't know.
Right, people tell me.
Is it rubbing against your shirt at all?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry, Cathy. I'm just,
It's okay. I mean, I just, I know.
I'm prehistoric.
For some people,
I'm Neanderthal.
For some people, it's, it's just, Tim Weston says, duct tape yourself to the iPad. And
Tim, actually, I can't do it without your help.
And actually, Jacob Wendt said he thinks the mic is hitting your jacket collar or zipper. So maybe that would.
Jacob Wendt, big props to Jacob Wendt. He's really a new shining star out there in the LA community. Let me tell you, no kidding. He's done so many amazing things, interviewing players, and he's an amazing young man. Jacob Wendt, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and drummer and musician.
Yeah. I'm just trying to move over my screen here.
I hope it's better, Jacob. Let me know.
It sounds better already, actually.
All right, good. It was the jacket. So yeah, there's a thing on there, and I don't know how you're going to find that. It might be in my playlist with Keith Emerson. If it's not, you're going to have to go up on Spotify and find it. And I don't know if you want to do that.
Oh, well, what I want to know is it related to any big company? Because if it is, they will take me down.
Oh, I don't think the Keith Emerson record that won't take you down.
Well,
if
like a Sony or
it's not Keith Emerson. You're right. It's Spotify. I don't know anything about that, Cathy. You're right. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something up in here by Eddie Jobson, though. I think if you go to playlists, or help me out.
Okay, I'm at your playlists.
Open up the one that says live performances.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see if. Oh, no. Please don't play that. I don't want to play that. I just want to find over here. Yeah. You see anything that says Eddie Jobson? If you scroll down. These are live performances. Okay, so go back to record. Oh, there's something that says Eddie Jobson, correct?
Right. Yeah, right here.
The green thing there.
This
there
one?
it is, babe. Yeah. Why don't you play that? That's the record. People know some stuff on this one. I don't know. Who My Friends? That might be one. Who My Friends? Okay. And you can fade out on that too. Okay, you don't have to.
Now you're going to have to direct me because I'm not sure. It's after. I don't know where it is on this because this is the whole record.
Oh shit. Oh God.
Oh, wait a minute. This is only 6 minutes long. So I wonder what that means.
That's the tune itself. Boy,
this is Through the Looking Glass, actually.
Yeah, I don't know what that hell. I don't know if there's any even.
Let me see what let's see what I can do. If it's Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie Jobson.
And the song is
Who My Friends.
Okay, so it's
going to come up right there. I know it's up there. Okay, so here you go. So this is something that's, go for it. Hit it.
What if I told you could go back 50? Yes, 50 generations of your family.
That's why you want to actually download it yourself. Yeah, okay, go on. I don't know if you want to hear the whole damn thing, but
Okay, but we can hear some of it.
Okay. think of the feeling.
Great drum beat.
No. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. I
these
love
are long,
that.
This is a real concept record at the time, so it's long pieces. But yeah, there's odd times and all that kind of stuff. So it's much different than, I guess I'm really trying to answer Steve's question. It's still in there in the mix. But yeah, the diversity. I also things I couldn't find, but I worked with Billy Preston for like 2 years, and so yeah, the diversity is there. And but it's like a muscle. You have to, if you're not playing in a lot of different genres, things can atrophy.
Yeah, sure.
And go on. Yeah.
I was just going to say that who do you think this is? Who's saying hello? Bars, yeah, Mab.
Well, Mab, that's my first and middle name, middle initial and last initial.
Brad Dutz.
Oh, that's Brad. Mab, you got me. I thought he was going to say like Barsination. The one of if you know Brad, you know what I'm talking about.
Catharama. What does he call me? Cathematic. I can't remember.
He's had some great ones for everybody, but he had one for me back in the day because he and I were in what was then later known as Tribal Tech.
Oh,
in '83, Brad Dutz, Larry Wills, myself, Scott Henderson. Okay, so anyway, he once had a Barstool dinette set. Barstool dinette set. Barstool
so
dinette.
Brad.
I just said, dude, give me something. Give me what you're having. Because
that is so Brad, man.
That's so Brad.
He's so cool. He's like the best. He's the best percussionist I know. He moved. He moved.
I know he moved. Yes, I heard that.
It's all set up. I mean, I think he's having a nice time so far. And Peach Reisner, who's an old friend of mine.
I know Peach. Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Go
back.
See.
Go back. Hi.
Ray wants to know if you'll be doing any more drum clinics.
Well, we'll see, Ray. Once everybody has them in their mask in their back pocket. Right now, it's pretty tough to. We'll organize something. I know Ray wants to do something with me, so we'll put it together. I've been working at this studio called Beat Garage in North Hollywood, and it's an incredible facility. So something like that can happen there.
Cool.
Great for events, recording and rehearsal. It's quite a beautiful thing that happened. So we'll put on a clinic. We'll do something.
Do they have a big space?
Yes, they do. Yeah, private parking, a big space. I wish I could remember the number of thousands of feet, but it's a large place.
Oh, cool.
With one section of it is 22 lockout rooms, and then the next section is 8 producer suites, and then the next section is 4 fairly sizable rehearsal rooms that also double as tracking rooms.
Yeah.
So it's a nice thing,
Where is it? What cross?
Right. It's on a street called Farmdale Avenue, off of Van Owen, in North Hollywood.
I see.
Kind of, it's a bit dodgy around there, and nobody knows where the thing is, but it's very private. We've got gates, it's a whole.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a real nice thing that happened. I had been at a studio up the street from there for several years, and quite a few other musicians known were in there too. And the place was really quite a sight. It was really run down. A lot of weird stuff was happening. And then the new owners came in, and one of the partners of the new owners was a woman. She's a wife of Rocket Richey. I don't know if you remember him from back in the day, a guitar player. And they have a son called Kane, who's a great drummer. And I knew both of them. So she knew me, and she's immediately calling me Bars. And it was really nice. New owners made the place beautiful. You know, it's rare that happens at new proprietors, and they made it. They got it. They get the musicians. And then she offered me a position at the new place they were building to manage it. And I could, then it was like a random knock on the door, so to speak, which really gave me the home studio I never would have had. Yeah. It's given me every day. I'm not through the pandemic and all of this. I mean, people are still coming through. I mean, I'm meeting people I probably would not meet because no one's gigging. So there's a flow going on. I'm recording with other people myself. I'm helping other people record. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. So it's kept me busy and opened up a lot of creative avenues. And the thing is, too, musicians that you and I know in 2019, 19 especially, we started getting really busy. Word was out, and all my friends were coming in. So I was like being able to help everybody. Give them a good space to rehearse and a musical atmosphere, creative atmosphere. And it's been a real nice blessing. So
very nice.
Yeah.
You mentioned before we started, you were going to tell me something about Dave Liebman, who is going to be on in about a month and a half or so.
Yes, I'm so happy you have him on.
I know, Dave Liebman, and the next day, the pianist Mark Copeland.
Oh my gosh,
who is like one of my favorite piano players, and so that week I'm going to be in heaven.
You are going to be in heaven, and well, you have Vince Mendoza
tomorrow, yeah,
and I think Liebs and him also have a connection. All that East Coast stuff. Yeah. Well, thank you for. I mean, in brief, Dave was yet a big influence and a mentor for me. So that was in San Francisco, and also my hooking up with Dave was the beginning of my realizing or having an understanding that you can manifest things in life by thinking about them simply like that. That's probably my phone. And that was, I'm in San Francisco. I'm out of high school. I'm making my way around and trying to just break in and meet people. And on a Monday night, Lookout Farm, the band that he had after he had played with Miles and Elvin, he had his own band, which was a great band. I love that band. And they did a one night at the Keystone Corner in San Francisco. So I'm in there. I'm underage, but I'm in there. Todd Barkin, who ran the place, was the greatest. It was a mecca for everybody in town there. And I saw that band play. Alex Acuna was on percussion. Don Elias was on drums, a different drummer than the regular one, a different percussionist. Don Elias got the Weather Report gig from that gig.
Oh, Don Elias.
That gig.
Awesome.
And Joe Zabino called Liebman up like 2 days after I saw them play and said, I need a percussionist. And that's how Alex got that gig. So I saw Dave and I saw that band and I said, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Just something about David too. I don't know what it was. I can't tell you what it was. It's just like, wow, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Because I'd been brewing all the music I've been listening and playing with Mark Isham and doing all that kind of post Miles and all of that stuff. It was all electrifying at the time. And so about a year later, maybe a year and a half later, he ends up moving to San Francisco and starting a project with Pee Wee Ellis, who was James Brown's horn player, wrote Cold Sweat and all those tunes. And I had played a bunch of gigs with Pee Wee around town. So they started a band and they had a record label and they were doing something commercial at the time. They released the record. It kind of went here and it didn't do too much. And then he was like I want to put a band together. And so he called Todd Barkin of Keystone Corner and said, who are the cats? And my name came up and the phone rings and Dave is on the phone like, hey, I got your number. You know a bass player? I said, I was working with Mike Formanak, who was like 17 years old at the time. And we invited Dave to his place and had him hike up a fucking ladder up to the attic. We didn't know what we were thinking, And we played nonstop. I still have the cassette tape. we played nonstop for an hour and a half. And he just sat in front of me with his horn and just played. And my whole molecular cellular structure was rearranged at that moment.
Yeah.
Because it just was. I mean, he was trained. He was Miles. He was everybody that I was listening to and wanting to play with and be like, you know. And San Francisco had his great players, but I mean, he was like another level, you know, along with Bobby Hutcherson and Woody Shaw, and some people that were living in the Bay Area at the time. Yeah. Great musicians living there at the time. But so he lived there, and we started playing, and he put a band together, a quartet with Aisha, myself, Mike Formanek, and me. And he said, after we stopped playing, you know, he just said, "You guys want a gig?" And I thought, isn't that something you read in a liner note? You know, you know, because to me, my education on that was like liner notes. You know what I'm saying? From afar, like, oh, Monk said this, and that's how, you know what I'm saying? So he just said, "You guys want a gig?" And we had a gig, and we made a record. It was my first real jazz record, and my lifelong connection with him. If I hadn't met him, I wouldn't have my son. That's a crazy thing, but he's kind of like my brother-in-law in a weird way, unofficially. But anyway, I learned a lot because playing with him was, you know, the way he conducted the band, the way he talked about the music. We spent hours at a Pee Wee's houseboat listening to bootleg cassettes of Train and all Miles and stuff that's now all released, but wasn't then. Yeah. But I learned a lot. He's my mentor. He's my indelible, you know, soul master guy, one of the guys, you know. So I'm so glad you're having him on. I hope to make a record. I didn't even tell him about this, but Mike Formanek called me up about last year, about October. He says, "Hey, you know, this is crazy." So he said, "One thing I'm doing, Mike, is he's living in Jersey. He's right near a Sound on Sound studio, which used to be in Manhattan." He says, why don't we just put a project up there just to keep our spirits going? And I said, "Well, dude, I wanted to make a record with you, Steve Cardenas, and Leeds and myself. I've always wanted to have music that's their names are on the charts, you know, me, I gotta get to it." So anyway, I put that up there. Now it's out in the public, you know, if anybody's listening. So I'm going to make that record when we can, you know. I'm going to fly, I'm going to do it. So thank you. Maybe you're part of it. You're
so
part
cool.
of that.
Well,
you're part of that.
Steve, I interviewed Steve too this year. When he was here, you know, when he was,
yes, you did.
Yeah. When he was here, you know, years ago, I mean, he and I played together a lot, and I just loved him. And it was great interviewing him and knowing all the beautiful music that he's been doing over the years. I mean, he really just did so well, you know. I mean, when sometime I ask people, what do you think success is? And, you know, of course you always get the same answer pretty much, but it's just nice to acknowledge sometime that success is, you know, doing what you want and growing and also being recognized for doing that, you know.
I think that is truly in our world, that is truly what success is, you know. And we don't, there's certainly, there's nothing materialistic in that. And that's, I think, truly what success is. And that's a daily reminder, because you have to have that success every day, that life condition every day.
Yeah.
To be successful in incremental ways that are so nuancical that we don't recognize it, and we beat ourselves up, but we got, you know, be reminded. So yeah, Steve is just tremendous. Mark Isham, you know, after my band Groove Congress is doing every Monday at the Baked Potato, and I was kind of doing a very Miles-ish type of approach for about three years. Mark started coming to those gigs, and then he booked some gigs, recorded all those gigs, and Columbia released them as a record, and that's what that record is. Those are all live at the Baked Potato.
Oh my God.
And we wanted two guitar players, Peter Maunu being part of our tribe from the San Francisco area, and a brilliant guitarist, musician. And we wanted a second guitar player. And Mark, they didn't know who Steve was. And I had met Steve up in San Francisco. He's living next door to my friend, one of my best friends at the time. I just said, "Hey, you got to meet my neighbor. He's a guitar player." And boom, He gave me a copy of his monk book that he made on a down at Kinko's, right? That book the monk book that he has. It's like the greatest Thelonious Monk library.
That's
so anyway, cool. I got him on the gig, but I recommended him for the gig, and it was so great. So we got to tour and do some stuff. So yeah, Steve Cardenas is another gem.
He's a real gem. Let's see. Somebody said, tell everyone when Gene Simmons asked you to play in Kiss.
I turned him down. The Kiss story is really, I'm going to go really fast. The Kiss story is like this. I'm in LA. I had been working with Jimmy Haslip, turned me on to a guitar player. He's still, I think he just produced him, called Phil Brown, okay. A real Jeff Beckish, he had a hot guitar player, and he was working with Cher. And he tells me, we're jamming one day. He says, hey man, you might get a call from Gene Simmons. They're looking for a drummer. Don't tell anybody, because Gene, I guess, was hanging with Cher. So then one day, there's this answering machine and my phone goes on, and hi, it's Gene Simmons. I'm like, yeah, right. I don't answer the phone. I don't recall. I think my friend Phil is just pulling my leg. And then he calls again later on, and I answered the phone, and I thought it was a joke. So anyway, it's for real. And he said, this is very, all of this is so top secret, all the stuff, they were going to do a record unmasked. They're going to get rid of the drum, whatever. This music is so far away from my mindset. I'm thinking Tony Williams. I'm not thinking, but that's okay. I was, pretty snobby then. But anyway, it's funny how things come your way is what I guess is the real part of it. Yeah. So anyway, we set a date. I put all my double bass drum Gret set in my little car, and I get to SIR and I set them all up. And Phil is going to play guitar, and Gene is there, and he doesn't even know how to plug in the guitar. And he goes, well, what do you want to do? And I know what it is. I show up, I got long hair, I got a leather coat on, as soon as I walk in, he goes, yeah, that's the shit. I'm like, oh my God. And then the night before, my roommate, another keyboard player left from the Bay Area, and I just could say, we got shit-faced. I got so drunk. Because the anxiety of doing this thing, it was just killing, because he said, no, we're going to go with another character. We're not going to do the cat. We're going to go with another character. So I got so plastered, and I came up with this fucking idea for a character. I came up with this Scorpio the Scorpion, which is like, I would wear the drummer, not me. The drummer would wear a suit that had appendages in the back with drumsticks, so that he could just kind of shake around and it would hit all these drums around him, and that would be Scorpio the Scorpion, right? And we're laughing our asses off. I'm going to tell him that, man. You're going, don't tell him that. You're not going to get the gig. I don't want the gig. We're going on and on. I show up. We play Smoke on the Water. That's the only tune. I did whatever. We play Smoke on the Water. He said, take a drum solo. I took a drum solo. He goes, okay, fine. Let's go to dinner. So I pack up all the drums in the car, and then Gene is sitting next to me, my little Mazda. He's like 7 feet tall. So he's like this in my car, and everything's rattling. We're going down Sunset Boulevard. I'm like, what in the fuck am I doing? And we go, he says, let's go into Tower Records. Let's get some records for you. So I go, all right. So we go into Tower Records, and, he's back then, no makeup, obviously, but, and Kiss was a big thing, and there's some people in the record store that go, ooh, I know who that is. I'm like, oh my God, this is, weird energy. So for me, so we go around, he gets a big stack of records, and then he pulls out a credit card that has his name on. They won't accept that card. They have to pull out another one that's got the real name on it. I'm like, oh, wow. I don't know about any of this shit. And then we go across the street to La Dome and have like $1 billion dinner, He's putting money in everybody's hand and go shake that guy, go shake her hand, go shake his hand. Oh my God. We sit down to dinner, and I go, well, how did you come up with this idea with the man? What? And he told me about Kyoka, the what is it, the Kabuki Theater.
Yeah.
And he had a real plan. I go, well, that's pretty smart. It was all business, you know. And then I would go, ooh, this is all business, you know. I let it out. I just couldn't help it. I just said, I let out the thing about Scorpio the Scorpion. I'm really not trying to score points here. I'm really uncomfortable with this whole thing. And I break it out though. He loves it. He fucking loves the idea. He goes, that's a brilliant idea. I'm going to bring that to the boys. You know, I'm like, oh my God. When I go to New York, you know, I'm going to call you and you come to New York and play with the rest of the guys, you know. At that point, I got the call and I didn't. I said, Gene, I'm sorry, man. I can't do it, you know. And that was the story, you know. But people were thinking, oh, you're crazy. You'll make a fortune and then you can do what you want. That was kind of the mindset back in the day. Yeah. You know, it was a 6-figure gig back then. You know what I mean? It's like, it didn't. I thought, you don't do it that way. Yeah. You don't. This isn't Clark Kent. That's phony. And anyway, that's it. Shows where my spirit was at, you know. I just starved for 35 years, you know, playing at the money tree, you know. I gotta get my ride cymbal together.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
No, Jamie Finley says hi.
Jamie's we have some deep little memories together. He's great. What a great talent.
Yeah, he moved up north too.
Oh.
He moved back. He's from Seattle, and he moved back there.
Oh, great! I mean, he must be happy. Yeah,
he's doing good. He moved a while ago.
Good, Jamie.
Yeah, I said that he and Deutzer had to get together because I mean, it's not like they're close, but it's not too terribly far. You know, they are relatively close. You know. Okay, Jacob says. Tell the story about Liebman making you take long solos.
Well, that's a good. Okay, thank you, Jacob. See, I told you Jacob's going to get in there. He's good. That was an invaluable lesson. We were playing in San Francisco, doing our thing, and I would take a drum solo, and I took my drum solo, and I look over, and you know, like, all right, I'm ready to come back. And you know, the form is open. It's not heavy structure. It could be a modal tune. It could be one of Elvin Jones, whatever it was. It could be impressions. It doesn't matter. I'm taking the solo. Okay, I'm ready. I'm coming back in, and you state it, you come back in. And he would just be leaning up against the wall and just go, yeah, just like that. And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, okay, I don't have anything. I just did it all. Go back at it, the second time around, he's like, yo, third, Anyway, at the end of the gig, I asked him about that. And he said it was a lesson that Miles said. He says, you don't really start to play until you're really out of automatic pilot, until you've really exhausted all of that. And I'm a young player. So it was even more of a challenge because I didn't have that much, I hadn't accumulated that much experience and vocabulary. I mean, it was all, so it was a great lesson too, first of all, stamina, and how you pace your ideas, even if it is in the beginning of a solo, just how you organize something so that you have distance and an arc to it and a story to it. And it took me a long time to figure that out. And it's still an ongoing lesson because then it was just, blast. You just blasted. It was the time of energy playing and bashing. And, I got tapes of tunes that are like 25, 30 minutes long, Yeah.
Well, there's a thing that I like, a paper of Chick talking. And he says, he just says, if you don't have anything to say, don't say anything. And it's just, I would assume that comes up when you're doing that. It's like, there's this empty space, and then maybe something else takes over, which is the channeling might take over at that point, possibly.
That's actually right. And as a young player, you have to, especially in certain types of music, extended play, you have to kind of know, like, wait, I better I am automatic pilot. I'm just kind of blind. I'm like driving through fog here. Let me back up and look more objectively as to what I'm playing. Not in a theoretical way, but in a channeling way, like you say. But that's what you learn from going extended and like working it out.
And being quiet too. Actually, so a friend of mine was more of a rock player, but he was at Berkeley with me, and he was studying with Mick Goodrick. And Mick was kind of famous for months of, you'd come over to his house and he wouldn't have you take out the guitar. So
that's a discipline. That's a discipline.
That's what happened. And then finally one day he said, take out your guitar. My friend got all nervous, and then he said, so play me something. So my friend played, and then he said, play me what you're afraid of playing. And so my friend started, kind of sweating, so he's playing all this difficult shit, basically. Right. And then he noticed that Mick had begun to stare out the window, like he wasn't listening, And so finally my friend stopped and Mick said, what was I doing? And he said, my friend said, nothing. And he said, yeah. And it changed, like you said, it changed, your DNA changed. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that. That kind of pain through the process is more durable than me trying to figure out how to convert a wave file. But I mean, those are important lessons. That's really great. But the thing I was thinking too, it's the role of the instrument. The drummer is always playing, and in most genres, you're always playing. You're keeping time. I can't stop and go, oh, I don't like what I got to take it. I can't stop. So we have another mindset. Rhythm section players have another mindset about that, because sometimes we have to do that adjustment. We can't take the mic away, the horn out. We can't put the sticks down and let me give it a couple of minutes. You have to do it in process without losing the mechanism, keeping everything. It's quite a challenge, to get that discipline in motion, in your functioning role. So it's a good point. Good point while I'm playing, going, I got to create the space. Imagine it. I have to imagine the space because I can't create it sonically. I can't stop. Right. So how do I create a space here in what, and how I'm looking at what I'm doing so that I can channel, so I can really tap in deeper,
Yeah.
Good one. Good point.
Yeah. Steve has an interesting question. He said, many musicians are leaving California. Do you have any thoughts about that or similar plans?
Don't go to Texas. No, I have nothing to say about that. Everybody's got their own thing. I mean, right off the top of my head, I've realized a drummer that I shared a rehearsal place with, Virgil Donati, he just moved to Italy.
Oh.
I know Dave Weck. I don't know Dave personally, but I know that Dave just moved back to Missouri, St. Louis.
Uh-huh. Nick Mancini moved to. Middle of the country.
It might start with an O, a Y.
Yeah, I know, like Omaha or right.
Wyoming, not Yuma. I don't know what to say about that. I think that it's a decision that each individual has to make according to what their lifestyle is and how they can sustain themselves, where the resources are coming from. There's a lot of factors going on there. I think somebody asked Dave Weckl not too long ago about the similar question about recording. Is it, the recording industry, where is it going? Like, it's not there's no more meccas, like alluding to, is New York not the place? Where's the record? Well, it's all kind of found a new watermark, I think.
Yeah.
That's my answer. I each to his own. I just, politically and economically and socially, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Kind of a, like you're right. It's kind of this is kind of the new area where we're settling, and it's broad, it's expansive, and we can do what we want, and people can, people can move, my friends Calabria Foti and Bob McChesney, just like a month ago decided that they were going to move to Nashville. So in less than a week, they're moving to Nashville, and which is killing me because Calabria is, like a sister to me, and they actually live on our street. But, now you feel like you can do everything because it's a different way of operating,
Yeah. And I've seen some musicians really take it to the max of saying, I'm going to be, I have my online school. I can live anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Not, everything that you're saying, I'm reiterating, but it makes for strange bedfellows too, and how music is going to be affected in the long term. Just the making of music and the kind of music that will be made, when you're doing things remote. I don't know. That's a real rabbit hole to go down, but it is going to change. I mean, just like the computer and tracks being done to a grid and the whole pop world, you said about the new this in a positive way, but I've just noticed in like the genre of pop music and the production, it's all like this all the time anyway. Yeah. I mean, it's just like,
yeah. It's almost like artificial intelligence, right? Yeah.
So
somewhere where AI lives.
Yeah, crazy stuff. I'm with you.
Mike, you know what? It's been 2 hours.
Ooh, it has.
I know a lot of people say 2 hours when they first hear it, and then at the end of 2 hours they go, "Really, 2 hours?"
I was worried too. I thought, I'm gonna run out in 30 minutes.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Well, we didn't play much music, but I'm glad we had it there anyway. And if anybody wants to check out any stuff that I have up there, go to my YouTube channel.
Yes, his YouTube channel, ladies.
Please subscribe. Yeah, subscribe.
And somebody said, just keep putting up stuff on the internet, and I think that's a good idea as well.
I can see that there's a group of people that are very. They're my friends, and they really want to see, they know about me and they want to put some more stuff up, and I'll do that. I'm encouraged. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm just busy doing stuff. I haven't given up on anything. I mean, I'm playing all the time. I mean, yeah, it's just, whatever.
There's different focuses you have, and there's only so many hours in the day.
Oh no, really? Yeah, I need a team.
You seem to have already had the beginnings of a team, and see, Roland's already subscribed to your channel.
Thank you, Roland. Things I don't know. I appreciate that.
I just want to say that, as we said, tomorrow is Vince Mendoza, the great arranger that I'm having on. Looking forward to that. And then I started, so I had done 6 days a week till, for 7 months. And then I decided to go to 3. And then it took me until now to realize that I could put up the archives. So the other 4 days, I've been putting up the archives, which has been really fun.
Yeah.
So this week's archives is Bob Shepard, and then great arranger pianist from Poland, Kuba Stankiewicz.
Cool. Good one,
Cathy. John Prue, pianist and singer.
And then
great jazz singer Greta Matassa from up north. And then just briefly next week, Marion Cowings, a great singer from New York.
Yes.
Dr. Bobby Rodriguez.
Oh, shoot. You're going.
Chris Wabich.
Oh, my gosh. Another creative player.
Those guys are going to be live. And anyway, it's all of this stuff is really fun. I'm going to just keep going. Oh, and also Sunday, I don't know if you know Mon David. Do you know him?
I know of Mon David, but I haven't worked with him, but I know him. Yeah.
You guys would have fun together on the.
Oh, wow. Stand. Cool. He's in your orbit all the time.
Yeah. He's such a wonderful person and a great singer. And he and Josh Nelson made a really beautiful duo record this year. And so Sunday at 8:00 Pacific time, we're doing a pre-recorded CD. It's kind of a CD release party. And it's, so it should be really lovely.
On this station, from here.
Well, I'm not sure if I think it's going to be on Mon's station, on Mon's Facebook, not mine, but
how does it work? Are you going to play, or are you just going to present the record and then talk and have a kind of virtual party? Yeah.
Yes, we've already recorded. I've done this before with people, but we've recorded the whole thing, and then, but we'll play it with the ability to have to farm out the live comments.
Gosh, great. Oh, that's okay. I've seen a few of those things. Boy, you're really working around it. So beautiful. So beautiful.
It's fun.
Keep it going, Cathy. You're just,
thanks, man.
You're amazing. You're truly an amazing individual. I'm very happy to know you.
I'd like to, I look forward to a time when we can hang out and sit around and bullshit for a while and have a drink.
I think probably sooner than we think we'll be able to come back in that place, and might think about finding a residency right now. I know that your eyes are always open to you tried a few things last year, but you might want to look for one now and just say, look, it's going to happen. I want this, because you could really make a lot happen in one spot. I know you can. So I'll be there. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. All right.
Love you.
I love you too. Big hugs and kisses. You're amazing.
Same to you. Goodbye, everybody. See you tomorrow and have a really great day.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, Mike, have a great day.
Okay.
Don't
ciao.
work too hard.
Oh, it keeps me young. Stress keeps me young. Thank you.
Bye.